Hello, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Knoxville Atheist Society and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Larry Rhodes.
I'm Ben Snyder, and we want you to know if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This show is for them and for people curious about living life free of superstition.
And this is a call-in show. However, we do have only one phone line, so if you'd like to and can't get through, we invite you to tweet us at FFTVKnox.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee have monthly activities on the first and third Sundays of the month at Pellissippi State Campus, main campus, usually with lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday of the month, they have a book club. The fourth Sunday is the Reflections Gathering, which is a potluck afternoon at a member's home.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun meetup group. It often meets at a bar or restaurant. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Old City. We meet for happy hour and camaraderie and conversation. We'll be meeting after the show also for food and drink. The Friday night, usually we have happy hours down at the Field House on Bearden Hill. To find us at either of these places, just look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table.
Today is December 4th, 2012, and today we'll be talking about the war on Christmas. But first, in the news.
Pat Robertson denied that the Earth is only 6,000 years old and introduces a new field of study called revealed science. However, he only did that in passing. On a recent episode of the 700 Club on CBT TV network, hosted by Pat Robertson,
CBN, yeah.
There he is. A letter from a lady named Michelle was read in which she expressed her concern for her family. She said that her husband and teenage boys were questioning the Bible. Michelle wrote the following: "They tell me that if the Bible is truth, then I should be able to reasonably explain the existence of dinosaurs. This is just one of many things they question. How do I explain things to them that the Bible doesn't cover? I am so afraid that they are walking away from God."
And Pat Robertson's response goes as follows: "Look, I don't know. I know people will probably try to lynch me when I say this, but Bishop Usher, God bless him, wasn't inspired by the Lord when he said it all took 6,000 years. It just didn't." And you go back in time, you've got radiocarbon dating, you've got all these things, and you've got the carcasses of dinosaurs frozen in time out in the Dakotas. You know, they've got Sue, that big, what was it now, the fierce one, the moderator, he's talking with, suggests Tyrannosaurus. Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I think this one had a female name like Susie or something, but anyhow, they're out there. And so there was a time that these giant reptiles were on the earth, and it was before the time of the Bible. So don't try to cover it up and make like everything was 6,000 years. That's not the Bible, that's Bishop Usher.
So if you try to...
Yeah.
He also said if you try to fight revealed science, you're going to lose your children. And I believe in telling them the way it was.
Right.
I have to agree with Pat Robertson on this.
In this case, yeah. You have
how many times have I disagreed with him?
Whatever, yeah. Pat Robertson is not somebody I very much put much stock in for anything. But
this is kind of like
I was surprised.
The Pope apologizing to Galileo 500 years after scientific discovery of heliocentrism. Anyway, there is some controversy out there on the web, as you might imagine, when Pat Robertson says something like this. The website Answers in Genesis predictably takes exception to what Pat says. Dr. Tommy Mitchell of AIG says, "Well, we're certainly not here going to lynch Mr. Robertson, but it's sad to see a Christian leader making such a statement. It's precisely this type of compromise within the church that has caused such an erosion of people's faith in the Word of God and a mass exodus of young people from the church. Here, Mr. Robertson is saying that we should hold the ideas and opinions of man above the very Word of God himself." And I have to disagree with him of saying that holding the Word of the Bible as actual truth and not wavering from 2,000-year-old mysticism will turn your family away from you and drive your children and your spouses away from the religion. because it's demonstrably false.
But the it's interesting too, because he says you shouldn't hold the the words of and opinions of men above the word of God itself, referring to the Bible. But the Bible is written by human beings,
right?
Very many different human beings with different opinions, and who wouldn't probably even agree with each other if they all met. And yeah, I find it entertaining that Robertson describes revealed science. I wonder what he would say if asked what that was. My guess is it's God revealing things to us, perhaps, which of course I don't believe in.
Maybe revealed science will now turn its eye to evolution.
Maybe. I mean, if he's going to admit that there's that it's older than 6,000 years, and that it's apparently there the dinosaurs to where it seems before. I don't know. He doesn't seem to actually say it's before humans, but he's acknowledging radiocarbon dating and others. I assume he's then, of course, acknowledging the other forms of dating which go all the way back
and complement each other.
Right. And so, if we take what Robertson said, then yeah, we do get to the idea that the Earth is millions of years old, billions of years old, and it's it is going against what Genesis and a lot of other anti Big Bang, anti-evolution, anti-science groups of Christians believe.
Right. It's not only going against the study of ancient dinosaurs, which are paleontology, but it's also going against geology and physics and
archaeology,
and the study of the solar system and all these other complementary sciences that back up what the paleontologists are saying. Even genetics, or take the world back a lot farther than 6,000 years.
Yeah, and the Dr. Tommy Mitchell person of Answers in Genesis. It's interesting because he says that he feels that Robertson is, his words are pulling people away or what leads people away. But a lot of Christians I've known and met believe in evolution, even believe which is more than what Pat Robertson's even suggesting. Believe that the Earth is older than 6,000 or 10,000 years old. A lot of them believe this, and they believe it's perfectly compatible with their religion, because if you take, you can take a lot of the, text of the Bible and make it align with things if you so desire, because a lot of it could be interpreted vaguely, such as people do often with the creation tales and how many humans there were. And, there's more than one way to interpret it.
It certainly is. And there are many Christians out there who believe in God, believe in Jesus, believe all this other stuff, but don't take every single word of the Bible as truth. They realize that it was written by humans, maybe divinely inspired to the humans, but even if it was, it's had 2,000 years of revisions. That there is possibility for copying errors, for people putting in what they want,
purposeful
for
editing
things, just all kinds of things. There's no way that a 2,000-year-old document being translated as many times as it was could retain the original wording.
Right.
Even if, and especially if it was written in a dead language, or at least one that's not used
commonly
or recognized widely.
Right. So.
Well.
Yeah.
Today's show is the War on Christmas, or proposed War on Christmas. We have a question up there you might want to call in and talk to us about. The phone number is on the screen. The phone lines are free right now. It's 865-215-8848 if you're visually impaired. And we welcome your calls.
The War on Christmas, I want to know, I think Fox News was the one that started the terminology and calling it the War on Christmas, titling it this, and
I've been doing it 16 years now.
Yeah, and basically, what they're doing is they're trying to say that non-believers, primarily secularists, and especially now atheists, are trying to attack Christmas, destroy Christmas, ruin Christmas. In fact, we just mentioned Pat Robertson, but Pat Robertson just not that long ago, maybe a week or two, made a claim that atheists are very miserable people, and that we, being miserable people,
want to make everybody else.
We see the joy that Christians have, and so we want to make them miserable too,
we're
just like us, and suck out the yeah. It's essentially what Mr. Robertson was saying. And while we, of course, are pleased to see him, going against young Earth creationism, we're not very pleased that he's saying such things about us. So yeah.
We have hearts three times the size of Bill O'Reilly's. I have a rant that I want to do on Bill O'Reilly in a minute. Was there anything else you wanted to points?
Well, this year, every year when they are talking about this, they usually focus on stories about atheists who legally pursue equal representation in public Christmas displays, or who sue against public Christmas displays that are exclusionary or should not be where they are, for the purposes of separation of church and state. And this year they're focusing on a story in Santa Monica where they have only 21 different displays in a very beautiful, nice park where it's very visually pleasing to have these displays. And for, I think it's about, I said 60 years that they've had these nativity scenes and such going up. Over the past couple of years, there are atheists and other groups as well who are signing up, and it's usually first come first served basis how they do this. Signing up to have their own displays, some of them disparaging, some of them, just nice, pleasant things to say, but anyone can put up, thanks for the season. And they had so many petitions, or not petitions, but so many people, applying this year that they simply could not accommodate everyone. And what they've done before is they've done a lottery where, they try to draw out people. But I think that this year that it was just becoming too much, and they decided...
They didn't want to get embroiled in the middle of it.
Right. They didn't want to get involved in being seen as favoriting anyone. I wish I'd looked at this, but I remember last year there was there was controversy because it may have been the same place or a different place, where atheists won a majority of the drawings, and people, were very upset because they felt
the displays were
the majority of the people wanting to display were Christians, and so the fact that so many atheist names were drawn and so many atheist displays were put up was very much obnoxious to the Christians and other people. And so maybe this year they just wish to avoid the entire thing. So this has been a story that Fox News has been focusing on, trying to say that atheists are warring against Christmas and trying to ruin Christmas and destroy tradition and such. Yeah. One of the Christian people of Santa Monica have brought a lawsuit against whichever part of the Santa Monica government is in charge of making those decisions, and trying to get the Christian Christmas displays put back up. And it's, and Fox News tried to say that, well, this person's they've misrepresented this lawsuit, saying in two ways. One pair of people were trying to say that that the person suing was trying to sue for everyone's rights, when they're not really. They're just trying to get the Christian rights. And because they lost, if I recall correctly, they've already lost that lawsuit. They failed because it's not fair. Then the other time, there was a woman who came on Fox News and was trying to say that it was an atheist suing to get the Christian displays kept from going up. And it's like, that's completely not what not the fact. So.
There was somebody that wrote into a Freedom from Religion Foundation talking about how the Freedom from Religion Foundation were suing all these small towns because the little towns didn't have enough money to fight the lawsuits, so that they'd have to take these things down rather than bankrupt their coffers. The thing about it is, the Freedom from Religion Foundation is what, 20 people? And they have a very small budget, full-time people. They're probably less than 20. Yeah. What people are saying, they're misrepresenting, intentionally misrepresenting, is the courts will not support that untenable position of having the local governments side with a particular religion over other religions or non-religions. Right. It's against the law. There's a couple of hundred years, I guess, of Supreme Court cases and circuit court cases and all types of cases in every state where the separation of church and state has been recognized and upheld. That's the reason that the states have to back down and the cities have to back down. It's not because of the deep pockets of the atheists. And we also have to talk about, if you're talking about deep pockets, let's talk about some of the religious organizations. Pat Robertson has a coffer alone of $500 million. And he's number one, but it's stepping down in pretty gradual increments from there. There are a lot of money out there supporting Christian causes. They could push these through if they wanted to and had legal backing, legal precedents. They don't, and this is why they're continually losing these cases. Oh, let's step back to In the News just for a second.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Uganda.
Yes.
Uganda has finally succumbed to the religious rights influences over there and passed their Kill the Gays bill. It's now a capital offense in Uganda to be gay and practice your sexual orientation. It's an imprisonment just to be found that you're gay, but if you practice it, it's a death penalty. And they, of course, have big biblical support in that they can say that it's an abomination to God, and some interpretations of the Bible, I understand, require stoning of gay people. We don't do that here. And when you say that that's not Christian, well, it's actually what it says in the Bible.
It's also worth noting about the Ugandan situation that they, as a member of our audience here has pointed out, in Uganda, their newspapers out people, so that people can hunt them down, and they do hunt them down. Once they see who's gay in the paper, they hunt them down, and even before this bill was passed, they've been killing gay activists. They've kept human rights organizations who are campaigning in favor of gay people on the run with death threats.
And this is directly traceable to the influence of the religious right from America.
Well, we have a phone call, so.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Welcome to Freethought Forum. May we have a name or a nickname?
Hello?
Hi.
Please turn down your television and pay strict attention to the telephone.
Yeah, you can. Otherwise, they'll cause trouble for you.
My telephone's not on. I mean, my TV's not on. Like,
okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, welcome to the show.
Hi.
You have a comment or question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I necessarily disagree with anything that you're saying. I guess you're in. Why do you care?
Care about which part or about what thing?
About like the concept of the war on Christmas. Like, why do you even care?
Well, one thing, Bill O'Reilly in his War on Christmas called all atheists fascists.
Yeah.
We are not fascists. We're good people. We like to. A lot of us enjoy Christmas celebration itself. One of our audience members has a Snoopy T-shirt on, or Linus.
Yeah.
We enjoy the season. We enjoy the giving. We enjoy the festivities.
We care because they're saying things about, like on Fox News and such. They are saying things about whole groups of people that are simply not true about them. That's unfair, and we are part of that group. We are atheists. Being atheists, when they try to say we're warring against Christmas, we hate Christmas, they make us sound like we're an enemy. And there's a lot, and Fox News is, I think, still the #1 watched news station.
Right.
So it's go ahead.
I would venture to say that both of you are like pretty, intelligent, and Mark said, every generalization that people make is false, including that. And so, I mean, like, why would you care?
So, are you saying that we shouldn't speak out against this?
You mean stoop to his level?
We're not stooping to his level.
We're not calling people fascists and maligning large groups of people. We're addressing the question.
Right. Responding to someone's insult of you is not stooping to their level.
But you're responding to Fox News.
Yeah. It does. So what? Yeah, I'm responding to. It doesn't matter who says it. If someone is saying something that is, especially when they have a massive national audience that they're speaking to, responding to the misinformation they're stating and the lies they're spreading is not stooping to their level.
No, and Fox News needs to be challenged on their statements. If we just sit back and let them say whatever they want to the largest audience in America, what's the word? Silence means consent to a lot of people, and we don't want to be silent.
And a lot of people I know at work and such, where I work, watch Fox News and believe what they say, and when they find out I'm an atheist, which some of them have, they have all these preconceived notions that Fox News has given them that I'm maybe a just terrible, mean person who hates Christmas. I've had someone, when I told them, he came up and heard I was an atheist and asked me, I said, yeah. He's like, well, so you don't believe in God, but you worship Satan. And it's like, no. Mm-hmm. These are the kind of misconceptions that different groups, such as Fox News, are spreading about people like me and Larry that make us look terrible to other people. And so it makes it harder for us to interact with those people, and we would like to address those things and say, hey, it's not the case.
We have one tiny voice to speak up against this monster of a broadcasting corporation, and we're using it.
Everybody at Fox News is out of order.
Of course not. But
he said that they all be back.
You're breaking up very badly. Can you move your mouth away from your phone just a little bit? Try again.
Well, you just said that Bill O'Reilly and Fox News made that.
No, I said Bill O'Reilly did, and I'm saying he uses Fox News, which is a huge broadcasting corporation, to spread his message.
And Bill O'Reilly, is not the only person on Fox News perpetuating the war on Christmas.
It is a common thread.
Now, a good point I'd like to make that I did not make before, and I think you're making a fair point that I need to make this, is they have a priest that they have on their show often named Father Jonathan Morris. He came on after they did the story that I've been talking about, and he said that the whole Fox News war on Christmas thing is silly, and I agree with him on that. There are a lot of things I disagree with him on that I've seen clips of him in before, but I agree with him. It is silly, and so not everyone at Fox News supports or propagates these claims. Although Father Jonathan Morris has said terrible things about atheists before as well in other contexts. So I fully agree. Not everyone at Fox News.
I just don't think that's trapped in generalization.
Okay, I'm kind of wondering why you would call this a mass generalization, but you haven't said a single word in defense of us against Bill O'Reilly's mass generalization of us, calling us fascists.
But I don't. I'm curious because I don't know how we're generalizing. Like if you're saying by just saying Fox News, that's a news corporation, and as a corporation, they do propagate that. As a corporation. Now, does that mean every little person within that corporation is guilty? No.
Well, then you should refer to Murdoch or specifically Bill O'Reilly and not the corporation itself.
No, because the corporation they propagate this as a corporation. It's one of the things they do.
They put him on the air and condone what he says.
It's we do name specific people.
Every man of the Bill O'Reilly show is just as guilty of propagating.
Did I say that? Did I say that?
You are?
No, I'm not.
We didn't say what you're saying.
Anyway, I think we're going around in circles. We've hit the same
you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that the going around the circles proves my point.
Okay. Well, I mean, we don't believe we're generalizing against anyone there. Like I said, Father Jonathan Morris, call it silly, and I fully agree with him. And there are plenty of people there who, do not perhaps, go with it, but they simply have jobs and they cannot help what their corporation does. I'm sure plenty of other people understand what that's like to work for somewhere like Walmart or Target, Kroger, Food City, and not agree with everything the company does. But companies are responsible for what their leading figures do as a company. That's part of who they are. I don't buy the idea that corporations are people, but they are entities. They are a corporate entity. They are an identity. So we do criticize Fox News as an identity for what a lot of their major news people say.
Well, none of that, but most of the major news people that I see, and I've noticed that I didn't say all, toe this line.
Yeah.
I mean, they do say that there's a war on Christmas, and they back up Bill O'Reilly.
Right.
We're getting down to the bottom of the hour.
I wanted to say one more thing. We kind of got off the Ugandan thing
before we were done with it.
Well, I'm sorry, it was not the Ugandan thing. No, this was about what you were saying about FFRF. Member of the audience pointed out that there are only 19,000 dues-paying members of FFRF, so it's not even a very big organization.
No, those are just dues-paying members.
So I just wanted to get that bit of data stated before we
But how
continue.
many Christians are there and pushing for their religion in government?
And and also it's good pointing out also that like I think it's the largest group out there that's fighting for separation of church and state is actually headed up by Christian. I believe he's a pastor, and that a lot of Christians agree with the idea of separation of church and state because it promotes freedom of different opinions and keeps one sect of Christianity from rising above all the others and persecuting, or of any other group.
The very reason that Thomas Jefferson coined the phrase separation of church and state is because the religious group approached him, Danbury Baptist Church, saying we need this freedom. We need freedom for all religions, and if one religion gets in, it will not mean freedom for the rest of the religions.
Yeah.
And why is that such a hard concept for the religious groups nowadays to grab?
All right,
concept
we have
of?
a caller.
Hey, welcome to Freethought Forum. We have a name or a nickname? You're on there.
Hey,
Hi,
my name is Wanda.
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 Hi.
I wanted, first of all, to say I watch the Freethought Forum a lot, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Well, thank you.
I heard that last caller who was giving you guys a hard time, and I just wanted to call and give you a funny story that happened to me this week pertaining to being an atheist.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, somebody thought it was funny to put a sticker on my license plate that said, "In God We Trust." I understand it's constitutional, and I understand. But it
I'm
was
sorry,
offensive
just
to
a
me
sec.
that someone do that on my license plate.
Ma'am?
Hey,
Ma'am?
Wanda.
Ma'am,
Wanda,
Wanda?
we're having trouble hearing you. You're breaking
You're
up.
breaking up. We found out if you move your mouth away from the phone a little bit,
It may
maybe 6
help.
inches, it may help. Can you start again about the license?
Oh, we lost her. Okay. Sorry, Wanda.
You're welcome to try again, maybe on a
we
landline.
would like to hear
or-
the story.
We would like to hear your story.
So there are people I know who are atheists who have had their bumper stickers vandalized. And it's the first time I think I've heard of anyone having someone else put a bumper sticker on their car, and that's pretty sad. I wish I could have heard the rest of the story.
Yeah. So we are down at the bottom of the hour, just in case we get another call. We haven't heard the phone ring. But we'll go ahead and do our break. If we could get our videos for Ask and RET queued up, we'll get to them in a second. In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern Time on this community access television channel. You can also see it streaming online outside of the Knoxville area. Just go to ctvknox.org.
This is a call-in show, and we are live today, December 4th, 2012, and viewers can call in now to the number on the screen or tweet them to us at FFTVKnox.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meets 2 times a week. We have evening meetups for food, drink, fun, and conversation. ASK's purpose is to supply a venue for camaraderie, community, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee have Sunday activities. They have, on the first and third Sundays of the month, a lecture and a group discussion at Pellissippi State Main Campus. On the second Sundays of the month, they have a book club that meets. And on the fourth Sundays of the month, they have a potluck gathering at a member's home.
Okay, and RET, Rationalists of East Tennessee, is going to have a talk this week. If we could put Tom Flynn's flyer up on the screen. Tom Flynn is the Executive Director of the Council for Secular Humanism and the editor of Free Inquiry magazine. He will examine the sources for our most treasured holiday traditions, from the Christ child to Santa Claus, from the Wassail Bowl to the Tannenbaum, and ask whether there's still time to send them back. It will be an information-filled, thought-provoking, yet wildly funny audio-visual extravaganza. Say that 3 times. Missing this presentation will be like getting a lump of coal in your stocking. Time and place, it's 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. at Goins Business Auditorium on the campus of the Pellissippi State Community College.
Both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help provide a social outlet where you'll find that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone.
Okay, could we show the information videos on Ask and RET? Please.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else.
A little trouble there. All right.
We're back. We had a little technical trouble there, showing the same commercial a couple times. Not commercial, information video.
Information video.
And we're back. We're doing a show on the War of Christmas 2012. I've got a little rant that I wrote up, and I'd like to deliver it this time.
Before you do, I do want to point out that earlier we had the wrong number apparently on the screen, so we'd like to point out that the number is 865-215-2288 if you'd like to call in and chat with us about anything.
Lines are free.
Yes.
This has been a lively week in the front lines of the War of Christmas. How can you tell when there's actually a war on Christmas? Does Wolf Blitzer come to work in army fatigues? Does Katie Couric do her shows with an M16 slung over her shoulder? No, Bill O'Reilly invites an atheist to his show so they can beat him up for attacking Christmas. On a recent show, Bill O'Reilly called President of American Atheists, Dave Silverman, on, and then called him a fascist. Indeed, he called all atheists fascists, and then told him that one of the largest religions on the planet isn't a religion at all. According to Bill O'Reilly, Christianity is a philosophy. Well, I guess we better notify all those pollsters, college professors, data miners, map makers, and the U.S. Census Bureau not to include it in their list of religions anymore. I guess we can expect that particular option to be removed from military questionnaires and dog tags, and that Christian chaplains will be no more. I'm pretty sure the military would frown on spending good Defense Department dollars on full-time philosophers for our troops. No more should we call prayer prayer, but reflection. Instead, since it's no longer to be considered a telepathic appeal to a god, but rather just the peaceful contemplation of the universe. I guess we should turn this whole area over to the philosophy department of colleges and just let them discuss it and write tests about it. No more should we call Baptist and Catholic buildings of worship churches, but instead refer to them as campuses. Maybe this is how they finally hope to get Christianity taught in public schools. It's true there are some philosophical religions out there, but Christianity is not one of them. There are religions like Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, religions where they don't actually believe in or worship a deity. Dictionary.com defined philosophy as the rational investigation of the truths and principles of being, knowledge, and conduct. Notice that it said rational investigation. That's a long way from simple obedience to the Word of God as Christianity teaches. Philosophy has long been considered the domain of science, a domain of science. Philosophy, like science, starts with observations of the world, experiments, and draws conclusions from the results. They may be thought experiments, but they're still experiments. Hopefully, conclusions that can be tested, falsified, and revised as necessary when repeated observations return new information. However, Christianity starts with the Bible and tries to find things in nature that confirm what it says, discarding or denying that which does not match up with its contents. It is done throughout history with things like the flat Earth, the sun-centered solar system, or Earth-centered for them, is currently doing so with the age of Earth and evolution. At least Pat Robertson's come around on that issue, the Earth, the age of the Earth. I read a statement recently that pretty much sums up what O'Reilly is doing. It's from a YouTuber named Pan Helenas, and it's on YouTube video called "To All Religious Teenagers." And he states that religion calls what is rational irrational, calls what is reasonable stupidity, calls what is invisible and undetectable absolutely obvious, calls what is contradictory consistent, calls what is unjust perfect justice, defines modern evidence as just opinion, and calls what people gives people dignity shameful, calls ignorance knowledge, and calls what is true a lie. The tactics are obvious and surprisingly simple. Just turn reality on its head, for only by doing that can organized religion seem defensible and at all believable. End quote. And finally, as Jon Stewart said on The Daily Show, you can honor many of Jesus' philosophical teachings and still not be a Christian. However, to be a Christian, you have to believe that he is God, can save you from sin, and get your soul into heaven in the afterlife. That makes it a religion. In reality, O'Reilly is actually presenting a new tactic in the religious rights battle to get Christianity into government places. At one point in his interview with David Silverman, he said, and I quote, "If the government was saying that a Methodist religion deserves a special place in the public square, I would be on your side." The religious right wants to get Christianity off the legal radar where the separation of church and state is at question. The Constitution says nothing about the separation of philosophy and state. So that's really where they're going with this thing. And if you disagree with anything I just said, the phone number is 865-215-2288. So did you have anything that you wanted to talk about on church and state while we're waiting for the phone to ring?
Well,
or about what I just said?
It is becoming more and more common that Christians are becoming involved in philosophy. A lot more Christians are going to school to become to major in philosophy and to try to argue in defense of Christianity.
On a philosophical basis.
Right, on a philosophical basis.
But not
they
going
try
to hell
do
basis.
Yeah.
Unless that's part of their philosophical reason.
But they try to make it sound more and more reasonable, and I like what the Philhellene's videos you quoted said about trying to make what is unreasonable sound reasonable, and just basically you have to turn reality on its head and say, well, how can you really know any of this? And therefore, you can't, and you just have to believe certain things. We had a caller call in one of the last times I was on the show, who tried simply asserting that you simply have to believe what the Bible says and just take it as it is. And it doesn't seem like the question occurs to him, why that book, why not another one? If you're going to take something without question, why take any one thing in particular? Why that one? And once you ask that question, once you have to start reasoning that out, you're no longer taking it simply just as is without question. You are now having to think about it. And yeah, there's a lot of arguments from Christians trying to make it philosophically sound. They're trying to argue that everyone has faith in something, which of course it requires playing around the definitions and such. They try to argue that it is reasonable to believe that God exists without having evidence for it, that they try to argue it by definition using the ontological argument, try to argue it into necessity using the Kalam cosmological argument, or the moral argument, try making it necessary to hold morals, to be reasonable, to have a reasonable idea of how the earth began or how the universe began, where everything comes from. And we do see that more and more. And I think in that regard, because they're trying to make themselves seem more reasonable than all the other ones, which may not have quite as an advanced apologetics system, because Islam, I don't think, has it quite as advanced yet. They're mostly trying to argue that
from a position of power.
Well, in a lot of cases, but a lot of what I hear from them is that they look at like a lot of what Muslims I've seen and heard do is argue, like, for example, comparatively from Christianity, especially, and say, clearly we are just as viable as theirs is, if not more, or we take the Old Testament more seriously than the Christians do. Mm-hmm. So comparative religion in that way is one of the ways they've heard them do it. The other way is that they'll look at very vague texts in their Bible and try to say there's scientific truth, which of course they didn't know till scientists told them about it. But, and this is a tactic Christians have used, but it's no longer fashionable to use that. And a lot of Christians are becoming more interested in more intellectual, philosophical argumentation instead of simply saying, well, this is a vague verse in the Bible that could be interpreted to mean this, even though no one knew it before scientists figured it out. Yeah.
And when scientists figure it out, which is funny, the first thing they do is give credit to God for revealing
it, which is going back to what you were saying with the Pat Robertson quote we have, where he is talking about revealed science and our speculation as to what he means by that.
Yeah. What's funny is that why would God wait 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years before some scientists figure this stuff out? Why didn't he let scientists figure it out 5,000 years ago?
Or why didn't he just simply tell us, here's how you fix AIDS, here's how you fix cancer, here's how you fix every other thing? We have a phone call.
Right. Okay.
Hello, caller. Welcome to Freethought Forum. Could we get a name or a nickname, please?
Yes, it's Dawn.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Dawn.
Dawn?
Hello, Dawn. You were breaking up a second ago. Hopefully we'll do better. Do you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out the fact that Christmas was illegal to celebrate in the colonial times because it was essentially a pagan holiday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was the Christians who outlawed it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a drinking holiday. It was a matter of public safety.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to celebrate.
We're losing you again.
The reason for the holiday is nowhere in the Bible does it mention that Jesus was born on December the 25th or anywhere near that time.
Right.
Jews do not celebrate birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Jesus was a Jew.
Well,
and the celebration was co-opted because there was already a pre-existing celebration.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a way for Rome to spread Christianity into the the English countryside?
Yeah. Because you had all these, pagan beliefs around this time, and they adopted a lot of their practices, the Christmas tree, Yule logs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in later years, they captivated or took over marriage. They didn't used to get involved in marriage.
But and a lot of people, like for example, Jehovah's Witnesses do not celebrate Christmas, largely for these reasons. And a lot of other Christians who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't celebrate it either, or they celebrate differently. My mother, for example, this year just decided that the regular tree was just not Christian enough, and so she had my father make for her a cross-shaped Christmas tree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Does it have Jesus came up and up?
No, but she also told me that the next big thing she wants to get is she wants to have someone carve for her a cross with Jesus coming out of the cross with a nativity scene about in the area that his stomach would be, with little figures on a massive standing. She wants it 7 feet tall. I'm not kidding. In her living room. In her living room, which has a high enough ceiling, but. Yes, yeah, I know.
Oh, well.
As you can imagine, she and I have interesting conversations.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder why no one says that the Founding Fathers were having a war on Christmas, or why Jehovah's Witnesses are not having a war on Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's because they're picking on the group that's perhaps they feel is more threatening in terms of what we have to say, because Jehovah's Witnesses believe in God and are very largely close to Catholicism and Protestant mainstream. And also, actually that may be it. It may simply be it, is that we are maybe a more threatening group because we propose there's no gods and that you shouldn't believe everything people tell you just because they're sprinkling in words like Christianity, Jesus, and such into what they're saying.
Actually, the tagline have what wore on Christmas. I got in trouble. I have a very small wall, and we had written Christmas using the X.
You're breaking up a little.
understand that.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
I had written a schedule and used that abbreviation X math,
Oh.
and someone criticized that because they thought I was taking Christ at Christmas.
Yeah.
And I had to
Sam,
point
would you
out
put that?
to them that
Yeah.
that symbol is a symbol of Christ, is Greek language.
Right.
We happen to have a slide.
That's what
made
Larry just
for
had
that.
Sam put up right now. Is that it's actually the
It's
Greek
just
symbol for Christ.
It's an abbreviation for Christmas.
Yeah, and
And going back to the Greeks.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who believe that, Xmas is taking Jesus out of it, even though it keeps the Christ in Christmas. And, and there are people, of course, who also get upset at people saying Happy Holidays, even though it includes Christmas, and it just acknowledges the other ones as well.
Which would have celebrated. He would have celebrated Passover.
Oh, yeah, probably Hanukkah, too, I would imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, and it always amuses me how little people know about their own faith.
Oh yeah, it's like, this is kind of an old survey, but there was a survey done 2, maybe 3 years ago, I think, where the Pew survey was done, and they asked people basic questions about the world religions, like 15 questions of the most simplistic nature possible. And the people who scored, in America, they told, people who scored highest on knowing about religions were atheists, Jews, and Mormons. Maybe not necessarily in the order, but I know non-believers at least were in the top category. And it was incredible to me that I think it was over half of Christians couldn't name the right 4 Gospels of the Bible. They were circling options that had books that were not Gospels at all.
John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Yeah, I think probably. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a great disparity of religious understanding. And, I think, I think there should, one of the things we fail to do in this country versus, say, what they do in some places in Europe is have religious education courses where you actually learn what world religions are. Largely, you can only get that in colleges now. And it can be a perfectly, a perfectly secular course where you don't preach any of them, but you simply learn the basics about them and know what they are, know what people believe, just for the sake of understanding one another.
But the first time a teacher says, if you don't believe the stuff that we have here, you're going to hell, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
I guess we can't really blame Christians for not knowing what the Constitution says then.
Yeah.
Well, what kills me is when you get somebody who's virulently religious, like a lot of these religious right people who run for office, and take their oath of office on the Bible for the Constitution, they somehow believe that they're taking an oath to defend the Bible against the Constitution, because that's what they end up doing most of the time. They don't understand that there's some contradictions there.
Yeah.
You're taking an oath to uphold the Constitution, period. Now, if you want to practice your religion outside of your official capacity, that's not a problem. But when you start doing it on behalf of the state, then you've got a problem.
Yeah. So is there anything else you wanted to say or ask?
No, that should be it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it very much.
Okay.
Well, thank you for calling, and you're more than welcome to join us at Barley's after the show, if you'd like to.
It's in the old city.
For just hanging out and chatting and drinking and eating, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Phone lines are free. Number is 865-215-2288. We're talking about the proposed or supposed war on Christmas. We've got another thing here where Bill O'Reilly takes on the Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chaffee over the holiday trees. Now, what gets me is Bill O'Reilly calling us fascists. What's more fascist than saying that an atheist or a Jew or whatever has to say Merry Christmas to you.
Oh yeah.
You say Merry Christmas, whether it's your religion
And
or
people
not.
get angry. And people getting angry at them for not saying
And
Christmas.
getting in your face and getting angry, saying you got to say a certain thing at a certain time of year.
There was an excellent point made by Jon Stewart in his last night's broadcast of The Daily Show, where he pointed out that Christmas is essentially eating other holidays, because he pointed out that Black Friday is a massive shopping day in preparation for Christmas, and that this year, as early as 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving itself, Black Friday shopping began.
It did. Mm-hmm.
So we have
another
a caller.
call. Welcome to Freethought Forum. You're on the air. May we have a name or a nickname?
Yeah, sure. My name is Phil.
Phil?
Hi.
Yeah, I was interested in the comments that were being made about the X in Christmas.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was a symbol for Christ, Greek.
I didn't know it until this week.
Well, I want to tell you the way.
You're breaking up a little, Phil.
You're breaking up quite a bit.
Please say it again.
Okay, I was reared in the Church of Christ, which is a very fundamental Christian church, in believing that one speaks where the Bible speaks and is silent where the Bible is silent. So members of the Church of Christ, when I grew up in a small rural Church of Christ, didn't celebrate Christmas as Christ's birthday, and many members would write Christmas with the X, and it did not mean Christ at all. In fact, they were taking Christ deliberately out of Christmas. They still celebrated as a as a secular holiday, and gave gifts to kids, and thank goodness, and had a Christmas tree and that kind of thing. But they deliberately took Christ out of Christmas because they said the Bible doesn't say when Christ was born.
Right.
Well, it actually says that he was born when the shepherds were in the field with the sheep, and that would not be in the middle of December, late December.
Right.
It would be in the summer.
I just wanted to make that comment.
Cool.
And not all Christians believe that it is a religious holiday.
Right. Like you may have heard me mention earlier, Jehovah's Witnesses don't either, because they acknowledge it's pagan and they wouldn't have anything to do with that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's cool.
Yep.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Oh, well, thank you for calling in. Please call again any other time. It's
You're welcome.
always good to have people calling.
Discussion after the show, if you like.
You're welcome to come to Barley's tonight if you'd like to.
Matter of fact, it's hard to find any Northern Hemisphere society that doesn't celebrate the 25th of December. The sun stops going south on the 21st. It stays about in the same position for 3 days, and then it starts coming back on the 25th. That is what most people celebrate, and that's what the roots of all of these the winter solstice celebrations are. It's a celebration that the short days are ended and the longer days are coming, and we're just all real happy about it. Of course, the southern hemisphere would be middle summer, so that's different. But phone lines are open. We have about another 6 minutes of the show. You're welcome to call in.
Yeah.
No, in this particular piece of information on this news show, that Bill O'Reilly was getting on the Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee over the holiday tree controversy.
Oh, I remember about that.
He's saying that a holiday tree is not a Christmas tree, and he should be a Christmas tree. Chafee made the first headlines last year by maintaining that the tree in the State House should be called a holiday tree. However, in the interview with O'Reilly, Chafee pointed out that all he had done was keep the same policy of his predecessor. Donald Carcieri, which was a Republican, by the way, was referring to it as a holiday tree. He said, somehow this has become a controversy, another manufactured controversy, even though it's been called a holiday tree at the State House since the 1990s.
Yeah. And, I don't care if you call a tree a Christmas tree or a holiday tree. I mean, the word does not matter to me. It doesn't bother me if, it wouldn't even bother me if the government were calling it Christmas tree. I don't consider that, I consider it secular enough already.
My rule of thumb is if somebody says Merry Christmas to me, I assume that they're a Christian. I say Merry Christmas back to them because I wish them a Merry Christmas, a Merry holiday of their choosing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know, they may not know that I'm an atheist, so they assume I'm a Christian and wish me one. But I'm not going to make a big deal out. I'm not going to manufacture a big deal out of it by confronting them like many of the religious right would.
Yeah.
O'Reilly pointed out that many Christians get upset. Now, get this part of it. O'Reilly pointed out that many Christians get upset when politicians decide to avoid using the word Christian or Christmas or otherwise avoid Christmas traditions. I'm sorry, you don't have the right not to become upset. It's not in the Constitution, and you may actually upset other people in the daily course of your life.
Right.
That's not one of your protected rights, I'm sorry. O'Reilly says, there is no holiday tree. There's a tradition of it. There is no tradition of a holiday tree. I could go on and on, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So, 4 minutes left. Phone lines are open.
So, I don't know. I wonder just how much longer they're going to keep running with this. I wonder how many years they have left to push this war on Christmas idea, when Christmas is, still massively celebrated, and no one's trying to fight the celebration of it.
I predict that it's going to go on for a long time because the atheist movement is getting larger and stronger and more vocal over the years. Back when I started, ASK was almost silent. There was no voice out there. But as it gets more and more vocal, more and more populous, the religious right, I think, are going to be more and more confrontational.
Maybe.
Because they'll see their privileged situation.
Well, I think there are two ways you can go. It could go that way, or it could go that they realize it's just not worth pursuing anymore. That's more damaging to them than it's worth. Like for example, this last election cycle, a lot of right-wing people have changed their minds on things like immigration reform, even gay marriage. More and more people are saying this really is worth it. There was this isn't a politician, but one of the top, can't really say what position he's in the Catholic Church, had written a letter to the church members arguing that they just need to cut their ties with civil marriages and,
really
save face.
True. We have a caller. Welcome, you're on the air. May we have a name or a nickname?
Dave.
Dave, we've got about a minute and a half. Do you have any comment or question you'd like to get into?
I just want to know.
Dave?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
You just want to know what?
If you guys are aware of the Hall of Shame that has Joel Myers, John Hagee, Kenneth Copeland, all of them in it.
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not sure. Could you explain?
No, could you throw a name on that Hall of
It's on
Shame?
the internet, the Hall of Shame, how much money these people have.
Uh-huh.
I was just wondering if I watch y'all all the time. I never heard y'all say anything about it.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Like what? So it's got a lot of what kind of people? Like why is it a Hall of Shame? It's got people and how much money?
All these rich preachers in it.
Oh.
So is that how we would find it if we wanted to look for it? Would it be under Hall of Shame, or is that just a nomenclature you threw on it?
You just Google Hall of Shame, or I did.
Okay.
We'll do it.
We'll look that up. That
Check
sounds
it out.
interesting.
Maybe we'll have some comments next time about it.
My opinion, Joyce Myers, all her mansions, and John Hagee, and well, about Hall of Shame, they're head right now.
A lot of the people, like for example, Joyce Meyer. My mother loves Joyce Meyer, and she loves what's his name, Joel Osteen. I can't stand those people because they are obviously more well off than I think they should be in terms of they should be giving money and taking care and living, reasonably good, reasonable life. But not,
Jesse Duplantis.
Yeah.
Well,
They flaunt it.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
Thank you for calling, Dave, but we're running out of time. Please call in again and chat with us again.
Maybe a little earlier next time.
And we'll check out the Hall of Shame.
Showtime.
Sounds interesting.
Time to start wrapping things up. Get out your pen and paper. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee.
Please send us feedback. Leave voicemail at 865-272-9060 or email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
We're here every week from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern Time on this Knoxville station or at ctvknox.org, streaming live.
Thanks.